attendees today, and that's very, very exciting to see. So many programs rely on a single person to manage communications, registrations, billing, accreditation requirements, faculty engagement, and outreach, while still trying to uphold high standards for their program. And so our panelists today are going to share some practical strategies, some personal experiences, and some creative solutions for balancing these responsibilities without sacrificing quality. And joining us today, we have Connie Poteet. Connie is the Director of Concurrent Enrollment at National Park College in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We have Brett Meeker, the Director of Concurrent Enrollment at Missouri Southern State University in Joplin, Missouri. And we have Leanne Burnham. Leanne is a guidance counselor at Booth Bay High School in Booth Bay, Maine. So welcome to our panelists. I cannot see them. Our panel, oh, there's Connie. If our panelists can make sure that their video is on, that would be very helpful so we can connect names and faces. So my first question, I will be the moderator for the discussion. We'll go ahead and ask questions of our panelists, and then if we have time, we'll bring it around to audience questions. But again, feel free to put something in the chat. So I'll start with you, Connie. When you're essentially a program of one, how do you prioritize tasks like communication, registration, billing, and faculty support during peak busy seasons?
That's a challenging question, Terry. First of all, thank you all for asking me to join. Brett and I did a presentation on this specific topic at NEACEP 2 years ago, and we had a very receptive response. Terry, Brett emailed, she's having difficulty logging in.
Can you help her with that, Carissa?
I'm here now.
Oh, okay, great.
Anyway, but we did a presentation on this at NEACEP, and it was very well received when we were there. So this is a very timely topic. As far as how I try to balance what I do is I have to be highly organized. I have to remind myself that the best way to manage the large workloads is just approach it one step at a time and only do what I can do. But I have to stay highly organized. I rely on a heavily structured calendar, detailed to-do list, consistent tracking systems. I haven't really found anything that is the best, most outstanding thing to keep up with. I have anything from to-do list on my calendars to handwritten to-do lists, because at 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you're like, oh wait, I didn't do that. So you're constantly making notes, doing notes in your phone. It's just organization. And to a degree, it's going to be a chaotic organization, but as long as you understand how that works, it's going to move forward and it's going to help you.
Brett, is there anything you can add to that?
No, but I use to-do lists also. So Connie and I are a lot alike in that. I started one last night and I wrote it down again this morning and have added to it today. And I probably have 3 to-do lists on my desk. So between to-do lists and sticky notes that I literally have pulled over, I'm like, I carry around sticky notes because it's easy for me to write something down and slap it to my notepad, and then I get back and I'm like, okay, I need to do this, or I can do that. And then I have a stack that I set beside my desk of things that I've completed. So I know, I'm like, did somebody ask me about that and I didn't get done? So I just keep those notes. So I'm like, okay, that's what I've done. Or if it's on my desk in front of me, it's to do, but if it's off to the side, I've completed it. So it's a lot of just a lot of what Connie said. She and I are on the same page on this one.
Leanne, is there anything you'd like to discuss about how you prioritize tasks or tools that have been helpful to keep you organized?
So this is going to sound like a broken record, but I also am a to-do list person, and I rewrite. I keep a notebook that just all my lists stay in. I often, when I get those 2 a.m. messages, I'll text it to myself or email it to myself because I start my day by rewriting my to-dos for the day. That also allows me, I mean, there's great satisfaction in crossing things off, right? But it also allows me to go back and say, like, what was on yesterday's to-do list that I didn't get to? And does that depending on what the situation is, does that now become number 1 or number 2 for this day? Or is that just one of those, it's kind of hanging on, and when you get to it, you get to it. But it allows me to go back and say, what are the things that either didn't always become a priority or that I was putting off? And I can then reflect and say, why did I continue to put that off? Is there more to my reason for not making that a priority? Because that helps me to better understand myself and maybe my own procrastination or areas that I'm trying to avoid for whatever reason, if there's conflict or something else.
Thank you. I want to just circle back real quick. Carrie in the chat. Leanne is not only a guidance counselor, she's also a concurrent enrollment instructor for a course that they run through the University of Maine. So since I ended with Leanne, I'm going to start with you for the next question. How do you maintain high academic and accreditation standards when you're the only person managing the program?
I haven't figured that out yet. I'm hoping to learn from this discussion of how I can do that. I think we're constantly changing, and I don't know, I apologize, everyone's background, what they're coming to this chat, from their current background. But working in a small rural high school, looking at our standards, right? Having high expectations and standards, but also recognizing where all of our students are coming from and different places, and trying to balance standards and expectations with what is best for this individual student. And so that's a constant challenge. And I feel like, while we certainly have our requirements, our non-negotiables, and what we feel meets the requirements of the state of Maine and what the values of our school system are, we also are always trying to balance, like, how can students meet those expectations in the way, that their circumstances best allow them to. And sometimes that means being flexible and coming at a different approach. Obviously, that's separate from looking at this concurrent enrollment piece. That's a little more straightforward. I feel like we know exactly what is expected of us in that concurrent program. I work really closely with Carrie and also with the liaison at the University of Maine for the course that I teach. And we check in regularly about what our goals for that program are, and how I can continue to make it better and share what's working for me with the other instructors who are teaching the same course.
Thank you. Brett, do you have something to add? Maintaining high academic standards while being the only person managing the program.
I not heavily, but quite a bit on our faculty liaisons, who are our department chairs. And I just communicate with them and say, hey, remember this, don't forget this. And we have a meeting, with them once a year, and we go over, this is what we need from everybody. And just so that make sure they're on the same page, make sure our deans are on the same page. Cause I invite them to that meeting, because I'm like, this is important to the institution. It's important, obviously, to me. It's important to everybody. It's important to our students. And so the deans know what's going on and what we're asking of our faculty liaisons and department chairs. And I even invite our associate vice provost to that meeting, because I'm just like, it's accreditation. I want you to know what's going on with this. So it's just a lot of, contact and coordination with them. We have a fairly small campus. So I know everybody, and, so I'm like, oh, hey, and so they don't mind getting an email from me. Hey, don't forget this. Or even some of our instructors who have repeatedly have our concurrent enrollment students in their classes will reach out to me and say, hey, I've got a question about this. And I'm like, awesome. I'm glad you're talking to me. So I keep an open door with all of those people. I'm like, if you need to come talk to me, email me. If we're not both on campus at the same time, we'll do a Zoom meeting, whatever we need to do, just so you're comfortable in doing what we need to do to maintain the standards. And so they've been really receptive to all of that. And because they know, our concurrent program is important to them. And so they realize that we're all in the same boat. So.
Anything to add to that, Connie? Maintaining high academic and accreditation standards while managing solo.
Yeah, one of the notes that I made, I mean, I concur with everything that Leanne and Brett had said already, but one of the things that you need to make sure that you understand is you have different entities that you have to report to. So in the state of Arkansas, we're really unique in that I'm NACEP accredited. It is not required of my state. So if you're not NACEP accredited, then you have state policy that you have to follow. Then I also have the Higher Learning Commission that I'm accredited with. Then I have my college policies that I have to follow. So identifying what all of those entities want at any given time and ensuring that
Yeah, I got that. 'Cause
Andy, can you mute? Thank you.
but ensuring that I'm meeting all of the needs of all of the stakeholders is very important. So one of the things that I've done to maintain high academic and accreditation standards is I laid everything out and looked to see who had the most stringent policy. Whoever had the most stringent policy is the one I was going to hold my program to. So my state may have been a little bit more easier when it comes to training my high school faculty to teach. But NACEP has a more rigorous standard. So I'm going to hold my whole program to the higher NACEP standard and not the lower state policy that's there. So what I do is I communicate the higher rigor to all stakeholders involved, whether it's my faculty liaison, my high school instructors, my high school partners, whoever it is that I'm involved with. They know that this is the most rigorous standard that we're going to meet, because that's the only way I can ensure that I'm meeting everybody's needs across the board, because I cannot play helter-skelter in this field and say, well, for you, I'm going to do this. For you, I'm going to do this. In a program of one, I have to be consistent. And that's the only way that I have figured out to be that consistent. And then I keep my routines. I have reminders set in my calendar, because being a department of one, I have a tendency to feel like I'm forgetting something and that everything is flowing down the creek at the bottom of Niagara Falls and I'm never going to get it back. So setting reminders in my calendar that I need to go back. Hey, this faculty liaison did not respond to me 2 weeks ago. So I set a reminder in my calendar so I can go back and say, hey, just make sure that you got this response, because that's the only way that I can stay on top of all of the tasks. So it's pretty much that, just staying on top of everybody's requirements.
I like that you referenced the different standards, because I think that we all are trying to, meet those standards, but which one? Because there are so many, high school, district, regional, all of it. All right, we'll start back with you, Connie. What strategies do you use to maintain relationships with those stakeholders that you're referencing, your college faculty, your high school partners and administrators, when you've got limited time and capacity?
It's communication. And that's just the area that you're going to have to stop and build the relationships, whether it's taking a day and going and physically visiting your high schools, whether it's a day to send random emails. I mean, there's, especially before the holidays, I send an email to everybody wishing them whatever holiday it is, and throughout the semester, I'll shoot them just a little reminder. Hey, we're in the semester, we're still trudging through, just encouragement. Just little tidbits. It's not anything major. Going out to the high schools, which I can do that because my high schools are fairly close. 30 minutes gets me to any one of my local high schools. So I can take a whole day and go visit. And the whole key relationship it is building relationships and communication, especially with your faculty liaison on your campus. Take a day, walk across campus, take them a piece of chocolate, at midterms, at finals. There's always little things that you can do to encourage people and just to let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I had to go to a high school one morning and I had to be there at 7:30 in the morning. So I texted and I said, what do you want from 7 Brew or Starbucks? I'm going to make a run this morning. So you take them and you ply them with fun little things. Yes, you may have to pay for that out of your pocket, but what's $20? I mean, to me, to maintain that relationship and to keep that at the forefront of everything that you do it's just constant communication.
Thank you. Brett?
I kind of set the expectation early on in the semester and with all, especially my teachers and the counselors, I'm like, don't feel bad if you need to bug me. And if I don't respond within, I tell them flat out, I said, if you send me an email, I'm going to try to respond within 24 hours. I know that's not possible for everybody, but I just set that expectation. And I tell them, if I don't respond to you in 2 days, send me another request, because chances are my email is, I tell them all the time, trashed. But I said, just remind me, because it's not that I'm not thinking about you. It's I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that and deal with it. But I tell them early on, like, email me anytime, contact me. If I'm not responding to you, tell me I'm not responding to you. You've had this question and I haven't responded, and you need to know, because sometimes it's just like, duh, you need to figure this, like, you needed to have responded to that. And I go back, I'm like, I can't believe I thought I did that. But I send them monthly updates, and I send it to our students too, just to let them know, like, what's going on this month. Is there anything new? Like, when midterm grades are going to be released, and this is when you can expect them to be. This is when final grades are going to be released, and this is when you can expect them to be. But I just let them, everybody, the students, the counselors, teachers, everybody know, this is what's going on, So I try to make that communication. And we also have, I try to find something that's familiar with myself and those folks. Whether, it's like the running joke between me and all of my teachers, especially my math teachers, is I don't do math. Don't ask me a math question. I didn't go to math school. If any of you are math people, God bless you. But I just tell them, like, I don't do math. Like, I can't help my kids with math. And it's funny because one of our instructors had my daughter in class and he was like, she's fine. I'm like, I can't do this. And he was like, I know. And so, but we just, we have that commonality. And I'm like, see all you people over here in science, math. I'm like, that's not me. This is me over here in social science and English. That's not the realm I can live in. And I understand. And they just understand that, because we have that common, we can kind of have that running dialogue between all of us. They just laugh when I say anything about math. They're like, oh, math. So.
Leanne, what can you add?
I think in my position as a high school counselor who's also a concurrent enrollment instructor, I need to keep communication with my liaison at the University of Maine, but because I'm really the only one that provides that information to my students and their parents. So that's where, for me, I'm in a role where I have to keep those relationships with the parents so that they understand why this is worth it for their student to be participating. And I'll take it a step further. I have a number of students, and I've really tried to grow the number of students over the last 7 years who take advantage of early college coursework through on the online platform. So communicating that to the families, why this might be the appropriate path for their student to challenge themselves, but also communicating that to my faculty so that they appreciate and understand how we're providing opportunities to challenge students in such a rural place, because they can often feel like, well, you're pulling them from my classroom, right? I'm the highly qualified teacher in this district, and you're pulling them from my elective in order for them to pursue this other area of interest. So it certainly requires a lot of explanation, providing opportunity, why this is best for students. And so again, I think I come at it from a little bit different lens. My stakeholders might be slightly different, but I try to get ahead of try to get ahead of it when I feel like there could be criticism coming back as to why do we need to do it? Why, for years and years and years, high school students just took high school classes. Why is this important? And why is it beneficial? So
let's go ahead and go around one more time with a wrap up. If you could recommend one mindset shift or practical habit for someone new running a program of one, what would it be? Leanne?
Be willing to ask for help. Connect with your liaison or ask to be connected to somebody who's in that role at another school. Networking is hugely important. And so being able to, And I've had other schools that want to add things who have reached out to me, and it helps me do a better job too, because then I look at it from a different lens. So just like use your resources, reach out to your network and build that network.
That's why we're all here too. So that's great to hear. Brett.
Mine's more of a practical habit. And I told you guys I use Post-it notes, and I tell everybody, I'm like, use Post-it notes. Like, I have a stack beside my desk, probably an inch thick, of Post-it notes, because I write something down, I put it on my desk, and I've even used Post-it notes on my computer. So that way I can like, oh, I've done that, get rid of that. And it just goes, when I'm done, it goes into the pile on the other side of my desk. So I know it's completed, but it's something that quick and easy. I take Post-it notes with me everywhere. Because if we're in the middle of a meeting and I need to say, oh, that's a good idea, or that's something that I need to do, I'll jot it down on a Post-it note, because then I can go back and reference all of those later on, because I'll just lay them out on my desk and say, okay, this needs to be done. And it's just kind of, all that Post-it notes, Post-it notes, Post-it notes. I'm not sponsored. I don't have an NIL deal with Post-it notes or any of that. It's just, that's what I live and die with.
You might want to explore one, Brett. See if that's
I probably do.
Connie.
Mine, just a couple is
They keep trying.
Can you mute? Thank you.
recognize that you can't do everything at once, and that's okay. Failure is a learning opportunity, because there's always going to be times where your ball is going all the way down Niagara Falls and it's not coming back. That's okay. As Leanne said, utilize your resources, build a network. We actually have a state NEACEP chapter in Arkansas. And the way that we always start our meetings is we are all in the pirate ship together. They're shooting cannonballs at us and we're belling water with a teaspoon. We're down to a teaspoon right now. We used to be a ladle, but we're down to a teaspoon. So there's other people across the United States that is in the same field and work as you are. If you are a member of NEACEP, then they have a national listserv that you can join. NEACEP will also host for you to have a state listserv. We have one of those in Arkansas because we do have unique specific situations. If there's a document that you need, or you think you need to create an observation form or a site visit form, whatever, don't reinvent the wheel. Reach out, use your resources. Somebody else has that. You can tweak it and use it as you need to for your institution, but utilize the resources that's out there. NEACEP has a great avenue of members that is more than willing to share, answer questions. So as Leanne said, use your resources and build your network.
Thank you. Does anybody in the audience, we have 6 more minutes left. I could keep the conversation going if we want to, but does anybody in the audience have a question for Leanne, Connie, or Brett?
Yeah, I have one that's been kind of in my head. Do any of you find, and I find this a lot in my work, where when I first started, it was sort of, and I hate to use this expression, but the high school was seen as the tail and the college was seen as the dog, right? It's sort of like, these are our standards, this is our curriculum, these are our competencies, and we want to see these implemented verbatim at the high school. But what I find more and more is that, and this is not being disparaging towards colleges, but high schools teachers are often more highly trained in pedagogy. That's their focus, right? And that could mean proficiency-based assessment. It could be any number of best practices that the college that's sponsoring the course may not have caught up with yet. Do you find in your work that you are, and again, I don't want to put you on a spot about it, but that you're basically representing the college entirely, or are you bringing some of those ideas back to the college and saying, this is our course manifested in a high school classroom, it works better there than if they were stage on the stage teachers, whatever, format that might be. So any one of you can respond to that.
Well, as a high school instructor, I think that I have had the benefit of working with the University of Maine to say, this is the dynamic of my community. This is the dynamic of this what it looks like here, and this is what I'm proposing. And I've been given the flexibility to try different ways of getting the same material across. I haven't had to copy it, word for word from what's being done at the college level, and have worked really closely with my faculty liaison to say, I have this activity or this assessment that I want to do that still meets those standards, but I'm going to take it in a different, a different lens, and have been really supported in doing that as long as I was able to justify it and show why it worked best for my students. I can't speak for anyone else, but I've had a great experience. So, and I'm not just saying that because Carrie's here on the screen.
We've had the same issue. The high school instructors in my